So I wanted to do a part two to my Gurdjieff's Exitless magical circle because I thought I didn't really explain who the folk are that can help us in this. Obviously, Mr. Gurdjieff himself, with his book, can help us to awaken from the spell that's been put on us all. And Gurdjieff discusses a lot the law of seven. So we all know that seven is the magic number, as long as three, as well as three being the magic number. But with seven, it also comes up in many times in the ancient wisdoms for various reasons. Like got 7 days of the week, used to be seven planets, or seven planets that could be seen with the visual eye when you're looking at night, which at the moment Jupiter's been shining brightly for a long, long, long time. And the last few weeks, Mars was shining quite brightly red. So I've noticed it's going back to its original colouring again now. So hopefully its warlike needs have been pacified. But also with seven comes the whole seven mystics. In many different ancient wisdoms, they talk about how seven masters understand the ancient wisdom and would come and pass it on to people. And it was always the number seven in the collective that came along. We've got the seven rishis from the ancient Indian, Eastern Indian wisdom series. And there's various other ones that now have slipped my mind, of the seven great people that would come, men and women, hopefully. And Gurdjieff himself talks about the magical group of seven that come and are here to help people. Obviously, he also has these various saints that he discusses in Beelzebub's Tales to his grandson, all and everything. And in the chapter of religion, called Religion, which I'm thinking of doing another re-recording of, he talks about how there was seven, let's see if I can find it, in Tibet. So this is all set in Tibet, this bit he's talking about here. So there's a conference that's been going on. By the close of the conference, all the heads of the country Tibet have become so excited that they would almost certainly have decided to carry out the proposal supported by the majority. If the head of that small group of seven, who, as I've already told you, had been sent to this council by the other members, had not intervened in this stormy council. This head of seven, later a saint, while persuading the other participants in this conference that what they had proposed must not be done, said, among other things, the existence of every being is equally precious and dear to our common creator God. Therefore, the destruction of these beings, so great a number of them too, would give no small grief to that one, who, even without this, is overburdened with the care and sorrow of all that exists among us on earth. So this saint is trying to remind people that we shouldn't keep continuously going to war, we shouldn't be attacking other people, we shouldn't find a reason to cause the death for other people. I've come across a few arguments with people lately that, the death penalty is fine in America or whatever. I don't know. Putting someone to death is going into your karma, as well as the karma of the person that's been killed and all those that are involved with it. Who has the right to say someone must be put to death for their sins or their crimes? Anyway, Gurdjieff talks further on about all these different saints that come to help the human world to progress and to evolve rather than de-evolve, by continuously falling into negative kind of ways of thinking and killing each other. And he says, all that this future saint then said in the assembly of Tibetan chiefs was so genuinely persuasive that they decided not only to take no measures against the strangers, but even to take every kind of precaution that no one should hinder the march of current events. And that again is one of the things that's quite important with the world and its evolution, is the march of current events. Yet our leaders of our nations try to steer current events to their way of thinking and what they want, rather than to let just the natural procession of current events that involves the whole cosmos proceed. When you're an awakened person, you begin to see the whole picture, where most people, most of our leaders only see a small part of the picture, like a little snippet of the puzzle that's there, and don't understand that everything goes with everything else and keeps everything rolling along. And you start interfering with the mechanics of the universe, the harmonious mechanics that are working along. It starts, well, screwing up our evolution, really. And Gurdjieff goes on, he talks about all these different types of people that were sent throughout the millennia that humanity's been here. He talks about saints, Saint Buddha. He talks about a Saint Lama who was a Tibetan holy man who becomes a saint in Gurdjieff's eyes. Though there is the idea that maybe, and I'm quite with this, of that Gurdjieff did meet some very holy people in his own lifetime that were sadly killed by Westerners. And maybe Gurdjieff was concerned that the ancient wisdom teachings, sorry, I've got to turn my phone off, the ancient wisdom and the ancient knowledge of the wisdom is not being allowed to go forward because, the dark forces work through people that are asleep, obviously, mechanical people, and use people. Maybe they MK Ultra them, as would be said of today's people that get MK Ultra'd. Maybe the dark forces can MK Ultra people to take out the good guys and the good girls, so that they can try and halt the evolution of the planet and have their own way of doing things going forth. And Gurdjieff reminds us that with these different saints, even Saint Jesus, to him, the Christ is another one that came to try and help people move forward. Now, where are these leaders today? Maybe we don't have these teachers walking amongst us. I'd like to think they are. Maybe, they're not going to be out there going to, here I am. They're going to be very humbled people that will be doing their work in their own private, quiet way that draws the right people to them that want to work with them. But they're not going to be, because I've had people say this to me, why aren't they, on TV? Why aren't they doing TV shows and things? Or maybe they are in their own little way. But if it gets pointed out, or if their teachings are shown to the whole world, to all the sheep of the world, it begins to distort teachings. It begins to weaken it, pollute it, water it down, dilute it, because everybody grabs a little snippet from it, where instead our teachers want to pass it on to people that are worthy of passing on the knowledge themselves and continuing the ancient wisdom with as much knowledge and wisdom together, and being to carry that onwards to the next generations. The more people that know about it, the more watered down it gets. And if we've got a smaller group of people that understand the knowledge and the wisdom properly, then they can pass it on properly. I'm a bit of a bumbling fool when I'm trying to put this across. I know I ramble on a bit and I stumble over words and don't always get the sentences out that are up here, but a true teacher would speak concisely from the heart and the mind working together with the body, be able to get across what they need to say and teach in a much more precise and understandable way than I do, which is why I tend to rather read from the books myself. Well, this is a little bit about the group of 7 that had been in Tibet. When this future saint arrived for the purpose mentioned at one large point, near which the armed crowd of foreign beings had camped for a needed rest, a stray bullet fired, intentionally or accidentally, in the street of this large point, by one of these newcomers from below, and killed on the spot this future saint. In this way ended the existence of the chief of the small group of nearly perfected brothers, and overcome by the terror of such an event, nothing more remained for them but only to take all the necessary steps to bring home the planetary body of their former chief. In order that you may clearly represent to yourself the real terror of the situation experienced by these 6 brothers who were left without their chief, and also well understanding all the resulting calamitous consequences, I must first of all explain to you, even though briefly, the history of the rise and existence in this country named Tibet of this small group, which had always consisted of 7 free-brain beings of your planet. Do we have 7 free-brain beings on this planet? Are they out there working for us, maybe tactically behind the scenes? Maybe that's when we're working ourselves, they can become aware of that and perhaps be in touch with us. I know there's the story of Ouspensky was waiting all his life for the masters to come to him. Maybe we will be as well. Maybe we will be picked, who knows? But does that stop you doing the work? Does that stop you working on yourself? You know, you might be part of maybe in the next reincarnation or in the next recurrence, whichever one you believe in, you will have that higher knowledge and that more understood wisdom to be able to be part of, you know, one of these learned beings that can take forth, you know, maybe one of the 7. Who knows? So he talks about this group. This group was formed and existed long before the appearance on the planet Earth of the last sacred individual, Saint Lama. From very early times, it was composed of 7 beings directly initiated by Saint Krishnatkarna, also a messenger of our endlessness, specially sent to the free-centered beings of the planet Earth, breeding in the country Gemchania. And of course, Gurdjieff's talking about lands and their names before what we know of written history that's we've got now. I think humanity's been around for a lot longer than the historians say. We've got a much more ancient history. You know, you can go and check out the Graham Hancock books of this world, or, you know, there's many others like that who talk about L.A. Marzulli, such like. I go along with them that humanity's been around a lot longer. There's ancient civilizations that have been forgotten about, or, you know, their places are hidden away still, or perhaps underwater, or, you know, there was cataclysms that took them out. So Gurdjieff talks about a much older ancient civilization of humanity that then seemed to understand how it needed wise, learned beings to help humanity progress. Continuing, when Saint Buddha afterwards appeared there in Gemchania and made clear that many instructions of Saint Krishnatkarna were not yet obsolete for the psyche of the beings of that same country, and that these instructions, when absorbed by any of the beings there, contribute to the destruction of these consequences of the property of the organ Gurdjieff, to help them in freeing themselves from which he had himself also been sent to them. And I stress quite often, you don't have to just read Gurdjieff. The Gurdjieff book, obviously, it will work into you. The more you read it, the more you ponder on it to try and fathom the gist. But even other ancient wisdom writings, whether it's from the Buddha, whether it's the Bhagavad Gita or the Rig Veda, or, you know, even the Quran's got some wonderful esoteric writing into it. The ancient Gospels, the Gospels that are not in the Bible, and so on. The Emerald Tablets, whether they're of Hermes or Thoth, you know, these books have the instructions in them, but you have to ponder on them and let them sink into you. So many people just want an answer like that. You know, it doesn't work that way. That's an exoteric answer of, you think you understand it, but once you start pondering on it, you know, whether it's in the ancient poetry, Rumi and such like, Dante, the ancient wisdoms are written within them. We have to work upon them because we don't have 7 super learned beings to teach us. So continuing about Buddha, he decided to put these instructions of Saint Krishnatkarna as a whole into the basis of his own teaching also. Then these 7 beings there, initiated directly by Saint Krishnatkarna after Buddha had taught them the aim and necessity of their existence, and they clearly sensed this and were convinced that the instructions of Saint Buddha not only at heart did not contradict the instructions of Saint Krishnatkarna, but even corresponded more perfectly to the psyche of the beings of that given period, and became followers of Saint Buddha. And still later, when Saint Lama appeared, especially for the beings of the country Tibet, and he also in his turn found that many instructions of Saint Buddha would still correspond very well with the psyche of the beings of that country. And the chapter continues discussing how religion has progressed over time, but then the religious institutes come in, try to take control of it. They start devaluating the ancient wisdom. Some try to take over the control of what it is you can be told. I myself think dark forces got involved with the religious institutions as they grew and saw that people were beginning to wake up, and the dark forces want to keep us asleep. So they will interfere with the teachings that the churches or the temples and such like are trying to give, which is why there's always an exoteric version of religion and an esoteric version of religion. And even though they try to destroy that, the ancient wisdom, because it's pure truth, will always come through in the end. And we have to find it for ourselves. It is out there. And, there's other people that can help us with it. There's other books that can help us with it, but try not to be deluded to the dark path. And be careful of a new age fluffy Buffy. I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Fluffy new ageism. I know I have many people get in touch with me saying, what number are you in the Enneagram personality thing? I myself think that's a corruption of the Enneagram. I stick to Gurdjieff's version of the Enneagram. I'm not into this. Number one is a certain person, and number two, I can't even remember what they are. I did look into it. It's just like, they're trying to put you into boxes. You can be any of them things. Let's take, for example, that Enneagram personality thing. You can be all of them because you're a different person quite a lot. And one day you're a bit of a number 9 and another day you're a bit of a number 4. Maybe it is good to read about it and learn about it just so you understand where it's coming from, but don't necessarily live your life by it. Go and find what is true to you. And most of it is about finding yourself, know thyself. Top number 1 aphorism. Look at Gurdjieff's aphorisms. I put a lot of them on my channel, and let them work into you. And pray to the saints, pray to the angels, pray to the archangels to keep you on the right path, which I'm sure you are on. Love you all. Thanks for watching.